Hello, everybody, and welcome to Learn Idaho's End of Life channel, Basics with Barbara. And we have a very special guest today with Barbara Karnes. She is a hospice pioneer and an award-winning end of life educator that's been doing this just for 4 or 5 decades. Is that right? Perfect.
Yeah, that's probably it. Started in 1982.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. So I've been doing this a long time, and I've been so grateful to have been able to learn from you and listen to many of your podcasts and being able to um, be educated. I'm so grateful for you. I did want to just say thank you to Learn Idaho for offering this opportunity of education each month with Barbara, and also to thank our sponsors, All Sip in Person's Funeral Chapel, Hillcrest Memorial Gardens, and Ancora Health Services. So thank you, Barbara, for joining us again today with Basics with Barbara. Barbara, one of the things I recently have had a loss, and I am so grateful for all the educational material that you have provided the entire country. And I lean on heavily on your booklets, and the one that I've discovered yet again, is a booklet called My Friend I Care. And what really was profound for me as I was reading through this booklet, you talked a lot about the processes of moving through grief. That anger can be felt, that's normal, and actually physically feeling the pain. That really resonated with me. And then also in the back, you talk about some do's and don'ts, which were really helpful. And so I was wondering if you would be so kind to share about how the booklet came to be, and then also if maybe you can explain to our listeners about grief, especially during this holidays, if you can help us understand grief a little bit more. Thank you so much.
Sure. You're familiar with Gone from My Sight, the blue book, and I would get letters from people saying, my mom died a month ago, and I want to order 5 more Gone from My Sight. And this happened enough that I thought, wait a minute, they don't need Gone from My Sight, although it's helpful. Um, what they need is something on grief. And so I wrote, it was the second booklet I've written, and it was to meet the need of how do you go on living without this special person in your life. And that knowledge reduces fear in every area. And that's how it came to be. A lot of people now um, use it as a sympathy card. You write your personal message on the inside cover, which I purposely left blank. Um, and then you've given um, your special person some guidance of substance as they begin this journey, which we all will have to have at some point.
Oh, I love that. I didn't even realize that was what that open area was for. That's a beautiful thought. So can I read a little bit from the first page? Would that be okay with you? So you had written, grief is like a wound. At first, it's open, bleeding, raw, and terribly painful. In time, that wound begins to heal. It heals from the inside out. The pain begins to fade, and eventually a scar is formed. I have a scar on my leg that I've had since the age of 12. I'm an adult now, but when I touch that scar, it feels different than the rest of my body. Grief is like that. There will always be a scar. We will never be the same again. I thought that was beautiful, Barbara. I think that grief does stay with us, doesn't it?
Well, and that the reason I think that statement is so important is because most of us expect to go back to everything being the way it was, and will never be the same when someone significant has died and is no longer in your life. Now, I say as died, has died, but really we grieve. There are a lot of deaths beyond just a physical death. We grieve for the loss of a job. Um, we grieve for many things, but, and we tend to just associate it with death. But there is this process. We'll never, ever be the same as we were when we had that person in our life. But we will learn how to live without them. And the scar to me was a great analogy because we reach a point in our grieving where it's not every minute, every day, then it's not every month. Um, and eventually it's not every year, but holidays are per- particularly challenging um, with our grief. But we're never the same.
Yeah, so good. I think what you bring up too, I think about after I lost my mom, I felt this sense of relief, and I was so ashamed to say that out loud. I just know that she had been ill for a really long time, and the caregiving was intense. I was caregiving for several people at the same time, my in-laws and my mother-in-law at the same time, and there was a sense of relief, but there was also some shame, like I'm supposed to behave a certain way, and I also felt like people were afraid to talk to me because they were afraid I would fall apart. And I was like, no, I really want to talk about her. She was amazing. And so I think there's these shoulds and shouldn'ts and do's and don'ts that are really important and just like having compassion for ourselves where we're at. It's so painful, but it's so isolating as well.
It is because people don't know what to say to us.
Yeah.
They'll look at us and, well, she's not crying now. So if I bring up, grandma who just died, then I may make her sad. I may make things worse. And so we don't say anything. Where what we say really depends upon our relationship with the griever, the person that I don't really know, that is an acquaintance. I'm going to interact with them differently than I'm going to interact with family, my family, or my best friend. There's levels of how close you get.
Mhm.
Um, and for those close to us, I think the more we can talk about how we feel and how we miss, um, the, I was going to say healing, but we never heal from it. We just get that scar. But um, the more we can acknowledge and interact with someone, to tell our feelings and our story with someone, um, the more balanced our life will be.
Yeah. What would you recommend as a person who is supporting the griever? What would you like to say or not to say? Because like I mentioned, it can be kind of isolating when you're in your own grief, but as a person supporting them, what would you recommend what to say and what not to say?
Um, okay, I I would not say moms with God, isn't this wonderful? It's like, no, I want my mom. God can have someone else, but not my mom. So we don't want to, and we often use that as I don't know what else to say, and that'll make her feel better. It won't. It will be more upsetting because so assess the situation and you can say, you know, if you ever want to talk, I'm here for you. I don't have words, but I've got these great ears and I would just be a listener for you and let you bounce off your feelings. I'm here. I don't know how I can help, but I just want you to know I'll do anything to support you. So we're not giving advice. As a griever, I don't want advice. I want a listener, because I know you can't fix it. You can't change this. Um, but you can be there for me. You can show up at my door with McDonald's and say, hey, I was in the neighborhood and you don't have to invite me in, but here's some lunch. Uh, and chances are I'm going to say, come on in. And then we can talk.
Beautiful. I think I, you know, I think I've learned more what not to say than what to say, to be honest. It's been a practice, but oftentimes I find myself just saying, you don't have to respond. I'm just sending you a text to let you know I'm thinking about you and I'm here for you. And I think it even almost seems overwhelming at first to even just respond. Because in the beginning, too, there is a lot of things to do after your loved one passes. There's the funeral and there's lots of food oftentimes, and there's stuff to do, paperwork and all of that stuff. But then afterwards, it gets really quiet, and I think that almost feels like the hardest part when everybody kind of goes on with their lives, and you're still. I felt like when my mom passed away or my dad, it was like the world just kept going, and I wanted to just scream in the middle of Chipotle restaurant saying, "Wait a minute, stop! I'm not ready to go on."
Well, and at first we're just in shock.
Mhm.
Oh my God, the doctors were right. She really died. Um, and we go on automatic pilot. We aren't even thinking. We just through the funeral, through we're just one foot in front of the other. We're numb, we're not thinking. And then after everything calms down and everything's over and you're home in your living room by yourself, you fall in a little heap on the floor and it's like the numbness, the anesthetic that we had to get through this has worn off. And then we feel the open, gaping wound. And then gradually that wound heals. But at first, we're just on automatic pilot. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're saying. We're just doing whatever direction we're pointed in.
So what one piece of advice or two, if you have, for the person who is grieving this holiday season?
Uh, I believe you want to include your special person in your holidays. Um, have their picture out. My husband died 2 years ago. The last two, um, Thanksgiving and Christmas, we set a place for him at the table and put his picture there on the place. Um, on his death day, um, we all gathered, we wore a piece of his clothing and shared stories. And you can do that at the holidays too. You can take that time and say, okay, dad's not here, but let's talk about him. What would he be thinking right now? Include this person in your holidays. And yes, there's an element of sadness and there is the emptiness, but that's better than having everyone there in their own little space missing dad and not talking about it. So at least by acknowledging that he's gone, that we miss him, and share stories and memories about him, then everyone there is not in their own space just feeling sad.
Oh my gosh, Barbara, I could talk to you all day. I can't thank you enough for sharing your gifts of wisdom, and I just enjoy spending time with you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you again.
Oh, I look forward once a month. We get together and touch base. How great is that? Have blessed, wonderful holidays. And I'll see you next month.
Sounds good. Thanks so much. And if you would like some more information about Barbara Karnes, please be sure and visit her website at bkbooks.com. Thanks again, everybody.